My name is Rebecca, and I know exactly how it feels to sit alone in a room wishing I had someone to practice English with. When I first started, I thought improvement only came from real conversations with others. But over time, I discovered something surprising. You can make real, powerful progress even when you're your own conversation partner. Speaking English fluently isn't about waiting for someone else. It's about choosing to become your own best practice partner. Speaking alone might sound strange or even embarrassing at first, but it's actually one of the most effective ways to become confident and natural in English. It's like training your mind and mouth to work together without fear of judgment. Imagine turning every quiet moment into a chance to speak better, think faster, and feel more fluent. When I first began my journey to speak English fluently, I faced a big problem. I had no one to talk to. I didn't live in an English-speaking country, and none of my family or friends spoke English. At first, this made me feel hopeless. I thought, how can I practice speaking if there's nobody to practice with? But slowly, I realized something important. The person I spend the most time with every day is me. So why not make myself my first practice partner? At first, it felt awkward and even a little silly to talk to myself in English. I remember standing in front of the mirror, looking into my own eyes, and quietly saying, "Hello, Rebecca. How are you today?" I even laughed at myself because it felt unnatural. But then I kept going. I answered my own question. "I'm fine, Rebecca. I feel a little tired, but I'm excited to learn English today." And that small moment changed everything. Slowly, talking to myself became a habit. I started to describe everything around me in English. When I woke up, I would say things like, "The sun is shining today," or "I'm going to brush my teeth now." While cooking breakfast, I would think out loud. "I'm cracking 2 eggs. The pan is heating up. Now I'm adding some salt." It felt like narrating my own life, and it turned my everyday routine into a speaking lesson. The beautiful thing about talking to yourself is that there is no pressure. There's no fear of making mistakes because no one else is listening. You can pause, think, repeat words, or even say things wrong and correct yourself immediately. It becomes a safe space where you can experiment with new words and phrases. I often practiced phrases I had learned the day before, repeating them to make them stick in my mind. One thing that really helped me was describing my feelings. Sometimes I would feel nervous about an exam or happy about finishing a project. Instead of keeping those feelings inside, I shared them with myself in English. "I'm nervous because tomorrow I have a test. I hope I can do well." Or, "I'm so happy today because I finished my work early." This helped me learn emotional vocabulary and taught me how to express what was happening inside my heart. Another fun method I discovered was to imagine conversations. For example, I pretended I was meeting someone new and introduced myself. "Hi, my name is Rebecca. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?" Then I would answer as if I were the other person. "I'm from Italy. How about you?" I would switch back and forth, playing both roles.
This made me feel like I was practicing real conversations and helped me prepare for situations I might face in real life.
Sometimes I took this idea even further. If I watched a movie or read a story in English, I would imagine being one of the characters. For example, after watching a romantic movie, I might say, I can't believe he loves me. Or after watching a superhero film, I'd say, I must save the city before it's too late. It was like acting, and it made practicing English fun and creative. Talking to myself also helped me think in English. At first, when I tried to speak, I would translate everything from my native language into English. This took time and made me speak slowly. But the more I described things out loud in English, the faster my brain got used to forming sentences directly in English. Over time, I started to notice that I didn't need to translate anymore. The words came naturally. I didn't just do this at home. I practiced while walking outside, quietly whispering to myself or speaking silently in my mind. For example, while waiting for the bus, I would look around and think, there's a woman wearing a red scarf. The bus is coming soon. I hope it's not too crowded. Even though no one could hear me, I was still practicing. These small moments added up, and they really improved my confidence. In the evening, I made it a habit to talk to myself about my day before going to bed. I would stand by the window, look at the night sky, and say things like, today was a good day. I studied English for an hour. I cooked pasta for lunch. I also called my friend and we talked about our weekend plans. This simple habit helped me review vocabulary and practice past tense sentences. Over time, my speaking skills grew stronger. I noticed I could speak more fluently and make fewer mistakes. And it all started because I wasn't afraid to sound silly in front of myself. I accepted that making mistakes is part of learning. The important thing was to keep going and make English a part of my daily life. If you decide to practice this way, here are some tips from my experience. Start small. Even 1 or 2 sentences a day can help. You don't need to talk for hours. Use the mirror. Looking at yourself helps you see your mouth movements and feel more connected to your words. Describe what you're doing. Cooking, cleaning, walking, every action is a chance to speak. Talk about your feelings. Practice expressing happiness, sadness, excitement, or fear in English. Imagine conversations. Play both parts and use different topics. Be patient. It takes time to feel comfortable, but it becomes easier the more you do it. Talking to yourself in English turned my empty moments into powerful lessons. It taught me that I don't always need a partner to practice speaking. I can be my own partner. And with each day, I felt my confidence grow, my vocabulary expand, and my voice become stronger. It all began with a simple hello to myself in the mirror, and it changed my journey forever. After I got used to talking to myself in English every day, I wanted to take my practice to the next level. That's when I discovered the power of recording my own voice. At first, I felt shy about hearing myself speak. I worried my accent might sound strange or that my pronunciation would not be good enough. But over time, I realized that recording and listening wasn't about judging myself. It was about learning from myself. The first time I tried it, I simply used my phone's voice recorder. I pressed the record button and started speaking about my day. Hello, this is Rebecca. Today I woke up early because I had to finish some work. I kept going for about 2 minutes. When I finished, my heart was beating fast because I felt nervous to hear what I sounded like, but I pressed play anyway. Listening to my own recording was a surprising experience. I noticed things I had never realized before. Sometimes I spoke too quickly and swallowed words. Sometimes I paused too long because I was searching for the right word. There were words I thought I pronounced correctly, but in the recording, they sounded unclear. I also heard moments when I spoke confidently, and that made me smile. Instead of feeling embarrassed, I decided to treat each recording as a lesson. After listening, I would write down words or sentences where I made mistakes. Then I'd repeat them until I felt more comfortable. For example, one time I noticed I pronounced comfortable as bull, so I practiced saying it correctly. Comfortable. Another time, I realized I used the wrong tense. I said, yesterday I go to the market instead of yesterday I went to the market. By catching these mistakes myself, I felt like I had become my own English teacher. And the best part was, my teacher was always patient because it was me. As days turned into weeks, I made recording my voice a daily habit. Sometimes I would choose a topic to talk about, my favorite movie, my childhood memories, or my plans for the weekend. Other times I would describe what was around me. When I listened later, I noticed how my vocabulary slowly grew and how my sentences became longer and more natural. To make my practice even better, I added something fun: storytelling. I would record myself telling a short story, maybe something funny that happened to me, or even an imaginary story. For example, once upon a time, there was a girl named Rebecca who wanted to speak English fluently. This not only helped me practice speaking, but also made me think creatively in English. One day, I decided to compare an old recording from a month before with a new one. I played the older recording first. My voice sounded unsure, and there were many pauses. Then I played the new recording. This time, I sounded more confident, and I made fewer mistakes. Hearing this difference made me feel proud of how far I had come. Recording and listening also helped me improve my pronunciation. Sometimes I would choose a difficult word like through, thought, or comfortable and record myself saying it several times. Then I'd listen carefully. Did it sound like how native speakers say it? If not, I would try again until it sounded better. This practice made my words clearer and easier to understand. Another benefit was improving my intonation, the way my voice rises and falls. At first, my speaking sounded flat because I was too focused on getting the words right. But by recording myself, I could hear when my voice needed more energy or emotion. For example, when asking a question like, "How are you?" my voice needed to rise at the end. Listening to myself helped me notice these details and fix them. To keep my practice interesting, I started using different tools. Sometimes I recorded short videos of myself speaking, which helped me see my facial expressions and body language. Other times, I used language apps where I could compare my pronunciation with a model voice. But honestly, even the simple voice recorder on my phone was enough most of the time. Recording wasn't only about correcting mistakes, it was also about building confidence. Each time I finished a recording, I felt a little braver about speaking English out loud. Over time, I started to care less about sounding perfect and focused more on expressing my thoughts clearly. There were also days when I felt tired or unmotivated. On those days, I listened to old recordings where I spoke confidently. Hearing my own progress reminded me why I started and pushed me to keep going. Here are some tips from my experience that might help you if you want to try recording and listening. Start small. Your first recording can be just 1 or 2 minutes.
The length doesn't matter. What matters is making it a habit. Choose topics. Talking about something you like, a hobby, your favorite food, or a funny memory makes it easier and more fun. Review calmly. When you listen, don't be too harsh on yourself. Treat mistakes as learning points, not failures. Focus on improvement. Compare older and newer recordings every few weeks. Seeing progress is very motivating.
Practice recording yourself saying tricky words or sentences several times until you feel comfortable. Use different formats. Try audio recordings, video diaries, or even reading texts out loud and recording them. One of the most powerful things I discovered was that by recording and listening, I became more aware of how I sounded to others. Before, I worried people wouldn't understand me. But by practicing this way, I could hear and fix unclear words before anyone else noticed. Looking back now, I realize that recording my voice was like holding up a mirror for my English. It showed me my strengths and my weak points. Instead of waiting for someone else to correct me, I learned to correct myself. And each recording became proof that I was growing, step by step. The simple habit of pressing record turned my quiet practice time into powerful speaking lessons. And slowly, without needing anyone else, I taught myself to speak clearer, think faster, and feel more confident in English. After spending weeks talking to myself and recording my voice, I felt my English was getting better. But sometimes, when I listened to native speakers in movies, on YouTube, or in podcasts, I noticed something important. Their English didn't just sound correct, it sounded alive. The way they used rhythm, tone, and emotion made their words flow naturally. I wanted my English to sound like that too. That's when I discovered the technique called shadowing, and it completely changed the way I practiced speaking. Shadowing means listening to native speakers and speaking along with them at almost the same time, like a shadow following their words. At first, it sounded difficult. I thought, how can I speak at the same speed as them? But I decided to try because I wanted to sound more natural, not just correct. The first video I used was a short clip from my favorite movie. I played the clip, listened carefully, and then tried to repeat each line after the actor. At first, I paused the video after each sentence so I could copy it slowly. I focused on matching the speaker's pronunciation, speed, and especially their intonation, how their voice moved up and down. At the beginning, I stumbled over words and sometimes couldn't keep up, but I didn't let that stop me. Instead of worrying about speaking perfectly, I focused on listening carefully and imitating bravely. I started to hear how native speakers joined words together, how some sounds became softer, and how they stressed certain words to show emotion or meaning. For example, in the phrase, "What do you want to do?" I noticed native speakers didn't clearly say each word. It sounded more like, "What do you want to do?" Shadowing helped me understand that real spoken English often sounds different from written English. By copying exactly what I heard, my speech slowly started to sound more like theirs. As I practiced more, I felt my tongue and mouth getting used to these new sounds and rhythms. It was like teaching my muscles to dance in a new way. At first, it felt uncomfortable, but with repetition, it became more natural. Sometimes I practiced in front of a mirror so I could see how my mouth moved compared to the speakers. This helped me notice small details, like where to place my tongue for certain sounds. One day, I decided to try shadowing with an English podcast. I chose an episode where the speaker talked slowly and clearly.
I listened to a short part, maybe 30 seconds, and then tried to shadow along with it. I repeated this section several times until I could almost keep up. Each time I practiced, I felt my speaking become smoother. Shadowing didn't just help with pronunciation, it also helped me learn new expressions and natural sentence patterns. For example, I heard phrases like, "You know what I mean?" or "It's kind of tricky," which native speakers use all the time but aren't always taught in textbooks. By copying them, I added these phrases to my own speaking style. At first, I thought I needed to copy every word exactly, but I realized the real goal was to feel the flow of natural English. Sometimes I couldn't catch every word, but by following the speaker's rhythm and tone, I kept practicing without stopping. Over time, I understood more words naturally because my listening skills improved too. Another technique I used was to slow down videos or audio clips. Many apps and websites let you play audio at 0.75 times speed. This helped me catch every sound and practice shadowing more easily. Once I felt comfortable, I increased the speed back to normal. Shadowing also helped me sound more confident. Before, I often spoke in a flat voice because I was afraid of making mistakes, but copying native speakers taught me where to put energy into my words, when to slow down, and when to speed up. This made my speaking sound less robotic and more alive. I practiced shadowing with different types of content: short movie scenes, interviews, news clips, and even songs. Songs were especially fun because they taught me pronunciation, rhythm, and new vocabulary at the same time. Singing along felt less stressful than speaking, and it helped me memorize new words faster. One of my favorite shadowing exercises was with short YouTube videos from English teachers or vloggers. Many of them speak naturally but not too fast, and they often use everyday language. I would pick a video, listen to a short part, and then shadow it several times. It felt like I was having a real conversation with them. At first, I practiced shadowing for just 5-10 minutes a day. Over time, I increased to 20 minutes. Even on busy days, I tried to do a few minutes because the daily habit mattered more than the length of practice. Little by little, I noticed my pronunciation became clearer, my sentences flowed more easily, and I sounded more natural when speaking. Here are some tips from my own experience if you want to try shadowing. Choose content you enjoy. Movies, series, songs, or podcasts you like make practice fun and keep you motivated. Start slow. Slow down the audio or choose speakers who talk clearly. Repeat small parts. Practice with short sections until you feel comfortable before moving on. Focus on rhythm and intonation. Don't just copy the words, copy the speaker's emotion, speed, and melody. Be patient. At first, you might feel you're speaking too slowly or missing words. That's normal. Keep practicing. Mix it up. Shadow different speakers to get used to different accents and speaking styles. Shadowing made me realize that speaking English fluently isn't just about knowing grammar and vocabulary, it's also about how you say the words. It taught me to feel the language, not just think about it. Looking back, I see that shadowing was one of the most powerful tools in my journey. It turned me from a student who could only think in English into someone who could sound natural in English. And the best part, I could do it anytime, anywhere, without needing a partner. Just me, my voice, and the voices of native speakers guiding me. So, if you're practicing English alone like I was, remember this. By shadowing, you're not just copying sounds, you're training yourself to speak with confidence flow, and life. Step by step, your English will start to sound less like a classroom exercise and more like real conversation, and that feeling is truly amazing.